Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you here today to the Jackson County Board of Supervisors for Tuesday, March 7th of 23. And with us today, I have Don Schwenker and then Flegel and myself, Mike Steinitz, are your county supervisors. I have Lisa and Bjorn from the auditor's office, Lou Ann, our executive assistant in the background, and Mary is here from the media. And anyone else would like to introduce themselves, or we'll just get into our meeting? Okay, first on our agenda today would be Mike Clausen from our assistant to the Jackson County Engineer. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. First thing I have is a utility permit for Coconut Valley, where we relocate a couple poles along from 42nd Avenue. We asked the board to approve that.
I'll make that motion to approve that.
I'll second.
A motion and second approve Coconut Valley Electric Co-op, relocate some poles on 242nd Avenue. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed nay. Motion carried.
Next, I have a couple driveway permits. The first one's from Scott Green. It's on Fulton Road, section 24. It's a residential driveway. It meets the site distance requirements. We'd ask the board to approve that.
I'll make that motion to approve the driveway.
Second.
A motion and second to approve the residential entrance for Scott Green and Farmers Creek, section 24 as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed nay. Motion carried.
Next, I have another driveway permit for Scott Steeg, Iowa Township, section 6, the second residential driveway for him. It does meet site distance requirements. We'd ask the board to approve it.
I'll make that motion to approve that driveway permit.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the second residential entrance for Scott Steeg, west side of 500th Avenue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carried.
That's all I have, unless the board has questions.
Whoa, big guy's gone and we don't have much to do.
We got a lot going on over there.
Yeah, I bet you do. Actually, you know, the roads are drying out pretty good already.
They are, so, yeah.
Last week before we got the rain there, I even seen some dust fly by. Yeah, so no, they're hardening up. That last rain the other day there, that kind of hardened them up. So if we can get out and get them.
I actually got a couple phone calls thanking the guys for what they were doing instead of complaining, so that was very nice to receive.
It's a positive.
Yeah,
Our phone calls are way down.
Yeah. Well, they're drying up a little bit, and if they can shape them up just a little bit, then you know they're good for a time anyway.
Yeah.
Hopefully this weekend don't hit us too hard.
Right.
I did have one question. Are we letting the quarries know, especially since we're using more of their good rock right now, about like our plans for redoing the roads and that we're gonna be needing more of that?
I did email Wendling Quarries about it. I haven't talked to Valiant Sand and Gravel yet. But some of the quarries are starting to run out of the clean rock. We're using some 2-inch now and some 1.5 inch with fines too. That seems to be working pretty well. So, and the roads are getting better, so we'll be switching over to the regular road rock here pretty soon.
Right. Just so they're aware, so that all of a sudden we're not ready to go with our
Right.
sections and they're like, we don't have the rock you need, you know.
Yeah, but I don't know that they come in and do that periodically. They kind of do that all at one time too, don't they? Or
Well, they'll go in and start into a quarry and they'll crush. They may only crush once a year in that
Right.
quarry. So far, nobody's started crushing yet.
Right.
So,
Just so they're aware that we're gonna be calling for more of that versus
right.
thinking all we're gonna take is road rock like we have in the past. And
Yeah.
So.
okay, appreciate it, Mike, and all right.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any visitors or citizens that would like to address the board this morning? Did Mr. Keller walk out?
Yeah.
Thought I seen him outside. Okay, hearing none, Julie, you're next on our agenda. And Julie Fern is here from the Drug Free Communities Project Coordinator.
So it is grant writing time. We are finished. We are in year 5 of the 5 years that we got. We can write for one more 5-year block. So years 6 to 10. Marla at ECIA is writing that for us. She sent me 2 forms that need to be signed by the grantee, which is the county. I did Luann give you a copy of those?
Yeah, they were emailed to me.
Okay, one is just saying that we have not used our 10 years up yet, and we haven't, and the other one is that the coalition is not a 501c3, so we needed another legal entity, and it's the county, and it just says that the county has the ability to apply legally, and they do. So we're asking that those 2 be signed, so we can submit them with our grant.
Yeah, and just for, I guess, for you guys, I did talk to the county attorney and he was good with everything that was presented, so it's up to you guys.
I'll make that motion to approve signing the grant paperwork.
I will second that.
Motion and second to approve the application and signing of the grant paperwork as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
And I don't know if y'all saw, but the coalition was the National Coalition of the Year for 2023. We got to go to the White House and hung out in Washington DC for 4 days, and we got some awards. So people here are doing a great job, and we're really proud of the work that we're doing. So hopefully we can continue it for 5 more years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, and hopefully we can get these programs implemented in the, I'd like to see in the schools.
We are, and ASAC has actually written some other state grants as well to supplement. This grant serves kids 12 to 18. We wrote for a justice assistance grant that will provide programming at the elementary level. So it's gonna, you kind of have to piece it together because each grant has their rules and their ages. And so ASAC is working on that.
I appreciate that, and I hate to say it, I don't know that 12 to 18 is almost too late yet or not, but I like the elementary level type thing, yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so yeah, ASAC is looking for grants all the time. And this justice assistance grant, otherwise known as a J grant, allows you to go all the way down to kindergarten. So we put in that application and now we're waiting for it crossed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And do you have them there?
I haven't really started. She has
I've
to
got
do
both.
that. She has. You want me to come back and get them later? Or if you want to do it, I can. One's it for you.
I don't think we're in too big a hurry here. We'll
There's 2
just
sets, one for you and one for me.
make sure I get on the right.
He's not in the right place. Yeah, and we sticking them up for you. We used to have to sign a form that said we wouldn't allow smoking under the Clean Air Act, but they got rid of that form. Seriously, that used to be everything we did. We had to sign that form, but we don't have to do it anymore.
Do you need the title? Oh, you got the title on it.
Yep.
That saves you from coming back anyway.
I appreciate it. Appreciate everything you do for us.
Check that over before you walk out the door, would you?
All right, thank you. Here, this one is yours.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Cruising right along. And our next on our agenda is Lisa, our Jackson County Auditor. That's been busy this morning, I imagine.
This morning, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the February 28th, 2023 board proceedings as written by Arthur Smith and authorized publication in the official newspapers.
So moved.
I will second that.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes from the February 28th, 2023 board proceedings as written. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carried.
Motion needed to accept, place on file and authorize the chair's signature on the county recorder's report of fees collected for the month of February 2023 in the amount of $34,607.07.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to place the file and authorize the chair's signature on the county recorder report for the fees collected for the month of February 2023. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed nay. Motion carried. That was down just a little. All the ATVs are signed up.
Yep.
Motion needed to approve and adopt the county right to use lease asset policy effective March 7th, 2023. Outlining what the county has to include on their annual report for the leases the county enters into. This is a request from the state auditors.
That's the contract that we were discussing, I think we discussed it last year. I think we got a few extra this year, maybe?
You know, yeah, the postage machine and things like that, but they're, because of GASB 87, they have to have this approved, this policy.
So moved.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve and adopt the county right to use lease asset policy effective March 7th, 23 as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed nay. Motion carried.
Motion needed to approve resolution number 942-0-7-2023. Canceling outstanding warrants now in the Jackson County Auditor's Office in the amount of $1,607.27. This is something that we do annually. It's anything that is over a year old that hasn't been redeemed, we go ahead and we cancel it. They kind of make those adjustments on our books. And should someone come in with proper documentation, then we would reissue those warrants.
Oh, okay, I guess I have a question. They said, is this is the resolution? Okay, so the numbers to me don't match.
942-03-07-2023.
Yeah, you said the amount of 1,600, the total outstanding warrants canceled,
To get
2,331.
Wonder why Shelley put that on. Wonder if she added some. Huh, she put this on, I mean, she's the one that added it by agenda, so yeah, I can see that the resolution is for 2331-64.
I was looking for a minus sign on one of them, but I didn't. Maybe one of them got paid or something.
Yeah, I can't answer that.
Do we want to table that and call her in, or how do you want to do it? We can't already pass a resolution if it's not in the correct amount, or is it, is the resolution correct?
I believe the resolution
Okay,
is
so
correct.
on your,
It's just-
okay.
My motion then would be to approve $2,331.64.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as presented with the 2331-64 with verification from Shelley to make sure that's the right amount.
second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as presented with the change upon verification. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carried.
Motion needed to approve handwritten warrants for invoices to Midwest Construction Consultants for $12,729.90. Bill Bruce Builders, Inc. for $101,664.28. Kraus Plumbing and Heating for $99,631.25. Tri-State Porta Potty, Inc. for $280. And Iowa Department of Natural Resources for $175, for a total of $214,480.43, of which $156,015.03 was paid from the American Rescue Funds, or ARPA, and authorized their chair signature on the project cost recap for the Law Enforcement Center for the month ending February 28th, 2023.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the warrants for invoices to Midwest Construction as presented. Any further discussion?
What the 156 paid over that went out of the jails allotted part of the ARPA funds.
Yes.
And Department of Natural Resources?
Well, a year ago, it was for a storm water permit. So it's a year permit because the jail's not built yet. We have to get another year of it.
Of course, maybe we don't have to get another one.
Yep.
I guess, yeah, I don't mind paying the invoices, but I'd like to see a little more action, of course, we all would, but we're at the mercy of supply and demand and supply chain, I guess, and hopefully we see a little more action here, weather's gonna help us out. We don't get too buried, so all those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Carried.
That's all I have for the board.
Thank you, Lisa. Luann? Are you ready?
Yeah. Okay. Calendar for this week. 3 o'clock this afternoon is tentatively the Green Space Redevelopment Meeting at the library by Zoom. Larry was attending that, but I let you that you're going to those meetings. Also at 5 o'clock this afternoon, I tentatively have Mississippi Valley Workforce Executive Board meeting by Zoom for Don, but again, she hasn't told me who's on the subcommittees for workforce, so I don't even know if you're on the executive committee for this.
As of right now, no.
Okay. Okay. Wednesday, March 8th at 9 AM is an RTA meeting for all of you in Dubuque. Also at on Wednesday, there's an Isaac's Executive Board meeting in Des Moines for Mike, and it was originally, I thought at 5:30, but it's now scheduled for 4 o'clock.
We had a slight discussion on that Friday and I said, well, why don't you just move that back a little bit? He said, can't you get up early? I said, I got a 3.5 hour drive, you know.
That's right, so whenever you get there is the perfect time, right? Also at 6:30 that night is a meeting at Jackson County EMS Association to discuss the grant that you've been talking about, and that's at the Bellevue Ambulance. For any of you, I think that want to attend that. Thursday, March 9th is the first day of the Isaac Spring Conference in Des Moines for all of you. At noon that day is the Jackson County Area Tourism Association meeting by Zoom, if any of you want to do that. Friday, March 10th is also the Isaac Spring Conference Day in Des Moines. And I believe that'll just be Mike and Linda's time. I think Don is coming back, so it's be the two of you. I plan to be out of the office on Friday. We'll see if the weather is going to allow that, but that's all right. That's what I will do with that. This weekend on Sunday, the 12th at 2 AM is the time we spring forward on the clocks. Monday, March 13th at 7:30 AM is an early childhood Iowa executive board meeting by Zoom for NIN. Again, I'm not sure if you're doing the executive board, but I know you can kind of tune in. Okay. And our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, March 14th at 9 AM. At 4 o'clock that afternoon is a Macocata River Watershed Management Authority executive meeting by Zoom for Don. And at 7 PM that night, I believe there's a Board of Health meeting for NIN. The only business I have today otherwise is to talk about the upcoming vacancy on the Veterans Affairs Commission. This is a commission that is not gender balanced at this point. And so when we have a term that expires on that commission, we have to advertise the position as if it's a vacancy. And if we do not receive any female applications for that, then we can reappoint. But we have to advertise for 3 months first before we can reappoint the gentleman that's already in that position. So I just need permission to advertise that.
So moved.
Motion and second to publish upcoming vacancy on the VA commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carried.
Right. That's all I had for you.
And no action on board business, okay. We jumped over the visitors and citizens section. There was no one here at that time. Sir, would you like to identify yourself and maybe if you want to approach the board or no?
My name is Ryan Keller.
Yeah.
That I've been calling and speaking with you over the last couple of days, last week. Kimberly Dickey will be here very shortly. She got a little delayed. But we just look forward to the opportunity to get to know more of the county business. And, otherwise, I don't have any public comments for the board, but I'm happy to be here today.
All right, thanks Ryan for coming and hope you had a good trip. I don't know where you're coming from, but hopefully that was a good trip and
It was very uneventful.
everything goes as
Good.
planned, so, yeah. So At this time, we will take a short recess. We will reconvene at this time and we are joined by our Conservation Director, Nathan Jones. Good morning, Nathan.
How are you guys?
Good.
So, little updates, I think. The things we'll talk about is our last board meeting, we had a few things. Starting off with, last year we had budgeted for a ramp at the center. I've talked to Lisa a little bit about this. We had one bid come in and it came in about $85,000 higher than expected. So, what we did was we asked a contractor. We took some of the stuff out where could we get it down? So pretty much a stripped down version of the ramp. And the bid went down at in the 50-some thousand. I should have brought the numbers with me. Which it was below what we cost estimated, but the problem was he said he couldn't finish it till next fall. So where that was left with us is the board asked me to look into steps instead of a ramp. Insurance said we don't need it for a ramp for the ADA reasons on that side, since we have an escape on the other side and an elevator. So our costs could be brought down. We might be able to build the ramp or the steps ourselves with staff or a contractor. A couple contractors have come out and give us or looked at it. They're gonna get us some bids here, hopefully soon on steps. They'd be going down, hit a 4-foot landing and turning towards the parking lot instead of the ramp coming out that side of the building. This all started with insurance saying we needed to escape out of that deck off the east side of the building, so. That was one of the main things that came out of the last board meeting. Was that discussion on that, where we're going with that. And another thing that came out of it was we've been discussing. Spruce Creek is a lease through the Corps of Engineers. Well, unlucky county. We get all the land that lays in front of all the cabins going to the south side of the park. Which there's trees and all that stuff that every time a tree dies. We have no access for our equipment or anything, so it's paying a contractor. Come in and cut the trees. County has been taking that cost in the past, or partial part of that cost. Since I started, at least it's only been half cost, because I said this is ridiculous. And the board has agreed and kind of gone that direction. But now the discussion is how can we remove paying for the tree removal or anything that's in front of those cabins in the future. So I'm got to meet with the Corps on that to see. Problem is that there's a hazard tree. Who actually says it's a hazard tree? Does it fall on us if something happens? So those are the things we got to work out there for that end of things. So that was something that was discussed at last board meeting. Another thing that was discussed at the last board meeting is electric bikes are becoming a big thing. Our county ordinance does not allow them. The way our ordinance is written. Our board wanted me to look in, I haven't done it yet, look into, you get with the county attorney, changing the ordinance, allow electric bikes in our campgrounds and on our trails, with a speed limit, so. I don't know much about them, they're becoming popular.
The few I've seen are noisy.
Oh, really? Oh, there was people in the campgrounds last year. Of course, I hear about it, somebody would tell them no, they can't have them, and so, I think we're more about letting people get outside and enjoy things, so that was the reason I hit the board.
Yeah, I've seen some articles on them and I guess I've never heard that part of it, but.
Yeah, they might be,
I guess, yeah, whatever it is, it
Bikes
is.
too.
yeah,
I've seen some of them even just putting around here.
So what about like, I wanna say mopeds or scooters or something like that?
yeah,
Are they allowed?
I think they're allowed because they're licensed. You can license
Oh,
them,
some of them are
unlike,
licensed, yeah.
unlike a electric bike, you can't license, so that's something to figure out. The state's allowing them,
Our golf carts are always allowed over there because.
no, they haven't been, so,
Yeah.
Are you gonna get into issues?
Of course,
there
the
then?
city just, the city just been,
Golf carts over there?
well, we were having problems with them. Driving across and actually watched a kid get hit by one when I first started, so we put up signs saying no golf carts. But I think there was questions and I think we're gonna kind of follow the state rule, the 760 kilowatt or less, so a smaller electric bike isn't considered motorized by the state. So.
Is that a help along or is that
But that's something that's kind of another thing that came out of the board meeting for me to look into. I haven't dug into it yet too much, so.
So I'm gonna go back just briefly, if I can, to the trees part there. So you're south of the harbor entrance, is that where you're south of that?
Yeah,
So is that core ground?
it's all core ground in front, so the old,
They're liable for that then.
Yeah.
in front of their old restaurant,
Yeah,
you go 2 feet out that front door. with
Yeah.
Core land, and
yep,
the county has been in charge of that for the last 40 years.
you mow it.
Nope. So, that's a good question. I never wanted to.
Is it truly ours or have they just been in charge of it?
It's truly written in our core lease. And it's under us. I've dug into this. I tried to give it back to the board because I didn't want to deal with it. And they wouldn't do it. Our core lease isn't up until 2033.
Well, here's the problem I see with that, Nathan, and you go up a little north in Smith's Ferry and you can't touch a tree, okay?
Yep.
So we say, okay, it's up to us, so we go cut them down, then the court says. We can cut our trees down.
I still have to get core permission
To cut it down.
I have to write a letter. And go through all the steps on that section for these, and it's like a private landowner has.
So have we ever approached the landowners here, or the cabin owners?
Well, that's where the board was kind of wanting me to go is, do we write a letter
Yeah.
saying we're not gonna, we can get you
Maintain.
permission from the Corps. But you're reliable, it's on you to do any tree removal or anything that
I
might
would certainly
go
approach,
against Corps rules.
I think I would take that approach, myself,
So-
some way.
We're trying to get that I mean, we just paid for 2 years ago, it's $3,000 tree. It was a monster that we couldn't get equipment. I'm like, why would we pay for this stuff? So that's something we're trying to figure out. And I don't want to step on those landowners' feet, but hey, at least if I can get them the permission, they still have the option to get the tree removed or whatever. It's still.
Well, yeah, it seems awful risky or a gray area to me if that's our tree and it falls on somebody's cabin.
I think that's the scary part, and that's why I want to get it with insurance before we get too far into this. And we have to get court approval too, to say that we can.
Yeah, I would talk to John too a little bit and see what he thinks
So-
about.
I don't know if we'll ever get rid of. When that release comes up for renewal, we want to get rid of that section. It become just like Smith's Ferry up there where the Corps is in charge,
Yeah,
and it's kind of weird because the Corps they've been writing fines to those landowners along there
we're taking them out.
for doing stuff.
Yeah.
But it's in our lease, so it technically should be our.
So Smith's Ferry's in our lease too?
No,
No.
well,
The lower
no,
part?
not all, but there's a little bit up to the
Up.
north, but
Yeah,
most of that.
north of Spruce Creek, you mean?
And that one is, so they have different set terms for sections of the riverbank. And ours is considered public rec area or whatever. And theirs has got another, low use area or something. And then that sets what can be done and can't be done on those sections. From Spruce Harbor South, it's really not a park.
Mhm.
99% of people don't realize that's public land.
If you went in there, I'm sure you'd get some voices
Well, yeah,
asking you to get out.
if I went in there and sat in front of one of their fire rings, and started a fire on I'm sure it wouldn't go over pretty.
Get him subletted.
So, we just don't have access. There's not even a way to get in there without coming off of water or
Right.
through a person's yard. So that one's, it's been a lingering issue and trying to figure out how we can.
Way to terminate that lease.
I looked into it. I don't know. I haven't done too much digging. That
Or
was
just an amendment to it even.
a year. Well, I tried that. They wouldn't, because they opened up some of this stuff. They were relabeling their lease or their riverbank sections on what use types they were 2 years ago, and that section came up and I said, can we do an amendment to this lease, change it? No, we can't. They were willing to change the title. Well, what it would have done was put a lot of headaches on us because it would have allowed them to put docks or other things in there, which I'm, whatever. If they can have it back to the core, I'm fine with that, but I don't want the liability of a private landowner having a private dock in there, not paying us for insurance on that section of the river. I think would be a nightmare in my
Mhm.
mind, of things that could come from that. We did have a sublease dock in front of the old restaurant when that was there, but the rest of them haven't been allowed. And then we'd be responsible for any of the, that's like a mussel bed through there with endangered species, we'd be responsible for that issue and any mitigation. I'm like, I just don't want that chance of that headache at this time. I said, maybe in the future, if we can just get us out of the lease, you can give it back and relabel it for them. But that has been a headache section since I've started dealing with those landowners and how we can best benefit them. And I don't know, I've always been nervous how far I want to dig into it, because, I mean, they're mowing on something that's county land without liability and insurance,
Right,
you know.
how many red flags you wanna throw up in?
so-
And they're used to it, they've been doing it for 60, 70 years, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and
And they can
if they
certainly
can't mow
see,
it and we don't have access to mow it, oh man, imagine the firestorm will be. They already called had Chuck Grassley meetings over some of the stuff going on in there with the Corps, so I think we'd be put on a pedestal of the.
oh yeah, we'll see how that's, yeah, I would follow up with that a little bit about that lease and see if we can put an amendment or
Yeah,
if we can get out of that part of it. You don't want it expires again, did you say?
2033 is the
Whoa.
Bruce lease. So.
Yeah, I would even start with a letter to the landowner, see what kind of response you get.
Yeah, I think that's.
Because if they don't wanna do that, I mean, again,
Well,
they can certainly see that sign 2 feet outside their door. Or
Yeah.
3 feet outside their door to know that, well, that may be possible, you can't mow that either, so.
yeah, I don't think that. I don't want to stir a pot there if I don't have to, that's.
No.
I just wanna. I don't wanna spend
We don't want to
taxpayers' dollars on removing
Right.
trees for a private yard.
And either they're enjoying them or they ain't, and we don't.
Yeah, so.
The
That was,
park, the park is completely different where, you know, you have campers and we're maintaining.
yeah, we gotta be able to remove trees on, when there's one that's got a dead limb
Well,
or
you're
something.
accessible to them.
Yeah, we don't want a tree falling on a camper and killing somebody, so. I definitely don't want a tree falling on their cabin either, but. Things to think about, but that was kind of. Last board meeting's discussion topics, I would say, so, I don't know.
How was the wall coming? I did visit the site, yesterday a little bit and I see they're up there working on it.
Yes, it's going slower than I'd like to say. I don't know if there's I have anywhere to stand. So we'll start. They could have, the way the lease was written when they got the bid, they were supposed to be able to start November 1st. It was like October 30th, Lori asked me to get permit from the state. Which me and Mike Griffin, who was the Mississippi River biologist, said, we don't need this. We've done this kind of project for years. This is just gonna hold this up. Well, it did. We didn't hear back from the state or the Corps until the end of January, saying we don't need this permit. So these contractors got held up till then. Almost February, somewhere in there. I don't know the dates on top of my head. Yeah, now the river's bumped. A little bit, gone up a little bit, so they're moving, it's definitely going slower. I just don't know. I don't want them to hold up putting boats in this spring, but I don't know how big a leg I have to stand on to start getting after them when we held them up for several months with our.
Does it go all the way from, I wanna call west end all the way down to the dock? That whole section?
Yep, and actually would start on the north side of the harbor. There's a water fountain
Yeah,
right by a parking lot.
Yeah.
It would wrap around that curve all the way to the dock.
they do have a ways to go.
Yeah, they have a long ways to go. So they've been there working.
They were there last night, yeah. when I was
So there's 2 or 3 of them kind of middle of the way, but they are not getting much done, but I don't know how you tell them. pick it up and get moving kind of thing.
Well, there is a deadline, I suppose, but again, if we held them up, then does it automatically extend their deadline? I suppose they would have a leg to stand on there as far as
Yeah.
argument to say, well, you held us up, we were supposed to start November 1st.
Yeah, I think they probably would. So. I'm hoping they just really start moving with the weather starting to get better now. Ice is softened up in the harbor. I don't know. That's one of those I know I'm gonna have a fire sale.
So I guess by looking, just visually looking at it, do you know, so the existing wall is going to stay until the concrete wall is put in behind it, and then that's gonna come out, is that the case?
Yeah, I think they're gonna pull sections. And then they set those concrete bases, and then the wall goes on top of those.
The wood
and
wall.
ties. Yep, so there's concrete and then bridge plank, 3 layers bridge
So they're
planks.
basically a double wall there now, I mean, where they're set.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. I need to get hold of Alex, he was our engineer on this. Just to get him back down there, I know he's doing bridge inspections throughout the county, I wanted to get down there just to make sure.
Yeah.
So I'm not the expert on it.
Be a good idea.
I've asked staff that were here when they did the first part in 2010 on the other side, they said, well, it looks like he's doing the same thing they did then, so.
Okay.
Hopefully that's the case and we're gonna have a wall that lasts, but I'm definitely not gonna say, I know what I'm looking at. But yeah. Other than that, I don't think we have anything huge or new since the last time I was in. You guys have anything for me?
If I do, I call.
I know you do. That's all right. I like that. So. All right.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time, to come in and give us update, Nathan, and
Yeah. Yep, if you need anything, my phone's always on.
spring is coming around here.
Yep.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, any reports on boards and commission? I guess we had a 911 last week, pretty short and sweet. The 911 meeting, and basically we are waiting for repeaters for the car. Otherwise, we're about ready to fire things up, the mapping or what they call it, the mapping and what else?
Patching will be with Clayton County.
Has been completed with Mike Day and Lynn, and so we're just kind of in a wait mode too, waiting for supply. Out of the Friday executive board for district, what district is it, somebody, 7? 6 or 7?
Oh, 6, I said.
So House File 565, which is eminent domain, they've now put an amendment in there, so 90% of local landowners would have to approve. Still not voted on. House File 314, Comp Board had lengthy discussion, but nothing really solid there either. Which way they're leaning on the Comp Board file. EMA talk. It was as simple as this, there's a lot of conflict, so that. That was pretty simple and sweet. Senate File 443, you probably got an update last night. The Supervisors District, I made my point of view known to our local representatives, senators, representatives, and they did get an amendment put in late yesterday. So it's gonna affect more of the counties from 125,000 and up, which would be a total of 5 counties, I believe. So it sounds like we may be able to retain our status as we're called zone or option 2, which we live in a certain district and the whole county votes for us. I push the fact that, you know, in a small county like ours, we represent the whole county. We don't represent that district, or, you know, we communicate and we interact with the whole county, you know, we're that small, so. I think that was a good, you know, it wasn't a total fix for it, but it still keeps some local control for us. And the Health and Human Services, I don't know if there's anything, are you on that board or are you on that board?
Me.
There wasn't really nothing new out of that. ominous bill either, so. Same with the mental health districts, they argued for 15% carryover, of course. They were hoping to get 10, and that's not gonna happen either. The way it sounds, it's gonna be a 5% carryover. The only thing they. The only, okay. The only thing they, their argument was, it was tough to argue was that it's hard to argue a $63 million carryover, so. They can hardly argue that, so. The government reorganization, of course, that's 1,600 pages, and that's still. I did see something yesterday on that one. From the governor. So she's taking 33 departments down to 16, if I remember right, how I read something like that, and combining some and. Supposedly making it more efficient, so.
But not losing any jobs.
Right, well, there might be a few, that are, yeah, I don't, that some of these committees and some of the boards and of course all have. So we'll see how that works out too. If you have opinions on any of that, feel free to contact your representatives. I did see a couple of them locally here in Andrew Sunday, so they're around. That's all I really have. I don't know if I had any other commissions.
I had 3 last week the Mississippi River Water Management Authority. We had our biannual meeting last Wednesday in Monticello, where I was elected to be chair of the Water Management Authority, taking Larry's spot. And they just give a presentation on the different watersheds. They're working on right now, the big one they're working on is at the monastery over there, New Mallory Abbey. They're looking at probably about a $600,000 multi-year investment on changing water flow, reducing sediments and fines that go into the river through there that enter the watershed. Through the Mississippi Valley workforce, I attended the IFA meeting. Basically, it was more of we listened to somebody talk. And what they were talking about was infrastructure funding agreement necessary for the local workforce development people to have the proper memorandum of understanding so they could utilize said funds. And to have this memorandum of understanding in place, X, Y, and Z things need to be there. And if you have all of these partners coming in to help provide services, making sure they're paying their appropriate part of the utilities and all that kind of stuff. And it was trying to understand it. They was knee deep in the weeds of details on, granted only being a couple of months into it, understanding where we at in our district as with it. I think we're pretty close. They're still trying to nab down who's going to take the sub-recipient role for the funding, but it's more making sure if you only budget for $300 for snow removal and you spend $6, well, that's a significant change in your budget to the federal government. They want justifications and all that stuff. So that was mostly what they were talking about. In the last meeting I had with the local tag meeting, and they basically were talking about how the transit authority and the RTA buses can facilitate as much as they can. I know even at the regional one, when they talked about how they're really, a lot of the bigger cities are using carpools. The RTA is providing vans and stuff for carpools and getting credit for that, which is bumping their budget up dramatically. And so they were like, if we knew in Macocata or Bellevue or whatever, a significant group of people that carpool to John Deere every day, they would go as far as probably supply the van and everything and allow them to use it as long as they track their who's all participating and things like that. I'd like to talk to Sean here to get some more feedback on how that would work. But then again, you just gotta have the same people going to the same place. And they were just talking about different things they could do around the community to get people using the RTA, because if you don't use it, it gets harder to justify it. And they talked about trying to get people on the 30th is going to be the job fair. And they're trying to get people to go there and back, you know, as maybe with RTA rights.
Off the rights and did they chime in again? Did Ted chime in as far as vouchers and rides to farmer market? That'll be coming up in a couple months, I suppose, maybe?
They were talking about that, Ted Strait was on there, and they were gonna try to make sure they continue to do that,
Yeah,
you know.
that's always been a pretty good program, I think, for them to get, you know, people there. Just so, yeah, I mean, we might wanna mention, are you up next on
Just talk.
Just Talk? You might wanna mention that, so people are aware that they can sign up for that, and get rides and stuff. Appreciate it, Don.
I didn't really have a whole lot, of course, I had the 911, but I did go to the Farm Bureau meeting, talked to them a little bit, we kind of just went through what our road, their concerns obviously were the roads, so we just kind of went through what our road plans were and maintaining that and going forward. They're like, we're hearing what you're saying, now we just want to see it, so.
We do too.
We do too, and but
Yeah.
you know, we've invested in
We've
some
got
equipment
something
and
behind.
we're going forward, and it's gonna be a process and doing the best we can at it there, so that was pretty much about all I had for last week.
Okay, we still have budget work session listed here. Do we have anything that we need to discuss? We'll be around after the meeting for a little bit anyway, if there's anything we need to discuss for budgets. Any other reports?
So I got. Motion adjourned.
Second,
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, say aye.
All right.
I
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carried.